Recording on. Good morning, welcome to the Coalition of Little Rock Neighborhoods meeting of April the 11th, 2026. We are going to record this and post the video through our Facebook page at CLRN.AR. Thank you to Carrie for sharing her video equipment with us this morning. We had tech problems. We are going to have city official about building permits and safety codes for the Google data center coming to the Port of Little Rock from 10 to 10:30. At 10:30, Director Kathy Webb will tell us about the future of food desert solutions beyond the grocery mobile that we now have running around. And at 11, we will take up the county budget issues that exploded into public view with a payroll shortfall this week, which has been fixed. But what do we do next is the issue. Do thank you for signing in twice at the back of the room. Do take advantage of the cold water, the snacks, and the hot coffee. Thanks to the Neighborhoods Department of the city for that gift. We like to go around the room very quickly and introduce ourselves. I'm Kathy Wells. I'm the president. I'm from the Downtown Neighborhood Association. Mr. Walker.
I'm Robert Walker. I live north of 630 in the Capitol View Lift Station Neighborhood Association area, which is a wonderful place to live because we get the Med Center on the one side and the legislature on the other.
And thank you, Charles. Let's, press on. Name and ward is what we're looking for, neighborhood.
Yeah, I'm Nikki Ferguson. This is my husband Wesley. We live in Smith Station as well, and we heard about this online and just wanted to come and attend.
So glad you're here.
Ward Sturdigan, Ward 5.
Shannon Baker, Ward 5.
John Swain, I live in Hillcrest.
Welcome. Mary, let's come back to you and then go down.
I'm Mary Henthorne, Ward 4, fumbling with the technology.
I'm Celia Bernheimer, Ward 5, representing Pax Christi.
Norman Hodges, Ward 3, Heights Neighborhood Association.
John Hedrick, Ward 1. An excellent example of neighbors helping neighbors here.
We think so too.
Charles Ray, Downtown Little Rock.
Bernie Sterling, Sweet Home Landmark area. Lisa, Sweet Home Landmark area.
Welcome. Rip.
Rick Weaver, Ward 1, active in the Downtown Neighborhood Association.
Connor, this is my daughter Everly. We live in the Midtown Meriwether Park area.
Welcome. We're pleased you're raising the next generation in civic pride and involvement.
Absolutely.
I'm Shannon Sessler. I live in Crystal Valley area, but I work at ULR. So.
Very welcome.
Hello, my name is Carrie Johnson. I just moved back to Little Rock, and I'm living in the Heights. So I'm excited to be involved.
Kathy Webb, Ward 3.
Tim Whitener, I'm a building official for the City of Little Rock. Official title is Building Codes Manager.
And he is our speaker for this period. He does have obligations. So if I may just sort of set the concerns list that you can address, we know that we'll have to be very efficient with your time. What's come up in discussions over the last month are concerns from the public about the secrecy that doesn't let us find out what exactly a data center will be like, what it will do, what risk it is of pollution to the public on several fronts, and we're asking what the building permit the city will issue under your authority will do to address these risks. And we're talking about land use and pollution, water use and pollution and quantity, energy use and pollution, particularly of the diesel backup generators in case of a horrific ice storm and their pollution, effluent sewage discharge, noise, which has been a problem in other places, and how close this will be to neighbors in residential properties. So, how well will building permits for the city of Little Rock cover those issues?
Well,
Go on and use your microphone, turn on the...
I think everybody can hear me. Can everybody hear me?
Are we gonna get a good recording? Is the quality?
Okay, well,
Press the little button so it shows red. Now, pull it down and eat the mic, as the saying goes.
Okay, the city of Little Rock, elected officials did a great job. They gave us the tools and they adopted the codes to help us. We have adopted the Arkansas Fire Prevention Code Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. The electrical code, NEC electrical code. We have adopted mechanical codes. We have adopted more codes than you even know, look stacked up there, that we have. And what we do, first off, we don't have a plan for anything. Okay, but when we do get a plan, then we start looking at it. We have plan reviewers. They go over the plans that's submitted. That's, the first step is they'll submit a set of plans. They have engineers and architects. And what their job is to make sure everything that they submit to us is for the safety of the citizens of Little Rock. So once we look at it and make sure that they're going by code, all the codes, we send out the plans to Central Arkansas Water, Little Rock Reclamation Authority, and Energy. They'll have to give us a will serve letter, saying that they can service. They have an opportunity to sit there and send back that they will not approve the permit. If they don't approve the permit, we can't go any further. Once that happens and they do get a permit, then we will be inspecting the facility to make sure that the plans they submitted, that they are doing exactly what they submitted to do. So, that's pretty much what I got.
And that covers not only, excuse me, what we obviously think about with the building permit, which is the building structure is safe. And
it goes through the batteries. If they have batteries there, it's in our code. We know how to deal with the batteries. If
that's
they
good to
have
know, because we wouldn't have
generators,
thought that.
If they have generators, we know how to deal with that. If they have diesel on the premises, we know how to deal with that. There's
And they will
containment.
have, from everything we've
Okay, well, there's
understood.
containment facilities.
That was my
will make
question.
that
You don't want
contain
it-
if they have a leak.
We don't want fluids to escape. What about air pollution? I understand they do testing regularly, obviously, because it's a backup system. And one of the problems has been clouds of air pollution.
That is ADEQ, Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality.
But how do they know to deal with this?
They'll know.
Okay. Any other questions from the
It's like
group?
the Corps, you know, they have to go through the Corps, they gotta go through
The
ADEQ.
Corps has just issued their thing. Yes, question?
So you're saying that it's a different department and it's focused on, that's focused on the environment, right? So how, like, what triggers them to then get involved if there is an environmental issue?
That is ADEQ and the Corps. What we do is make sure that it is safe, it is built correctly for the citizens of Little Rock. We have a lot of things going in the city, you know, that probably could be more dangerous than the data center. But that's what the code was for. That's what our elected officials adopted, is these codes. We adopted the same codes as the state of Arkansas. So we follow pretty much the same codes as the state does.
If they are letting polluted water into the aquifer and breaking all kinds of codes doing it, do you folks work with the proper organizations to assure that the building and everything that's in the building works with the environment, so that that no longer happens? Where is the cutoff between your responsibility and what happens in your building with the environment?
Okay. Well,
We
once
can't hear the question.
What happens with the water intrusion into the aquifer is the question, and how the
when-
city would regulate.
when does his responsibility kick in when it comes to the fact that it's the pollution is coming from the buildings? And where is that cook-off place as to who is responsible?
Okay. We do the building and everything. Okay, once the water, it could be air cooled. I have no idea, because we haven't seen the plans. But just say it's water. Water goes in from Central Park Saltwater. They have to approve this. Water goes out, it's gonna go to Little Rock Reclamation, Water Reclamation Board. They're the ones that control the water that comes out of it.
We have no indication from everything I've found that this will deal with the aquifer whatsoever at the Port of Little Rock. I have spoken with the water utility executive, Tad Bohannon, and I have spoken with the official at the sewer utility. And they expect that smaller amount of effluent, because a lot of this evaporates apparently, to come into their Fush Creek treatment plant and be handled as any other effluent. So aquifers are not involved here. Check.
I've got two questions. One is kind of going on to that one. So with the wastewater that is going to the reclamation center, they're not necessarily disclosing what contaminants may be in that water to the public, but are they at least communicating that to the reclamation center so they know for what to treat?
Yes, I'm sure they do. I mean, it's kind of like,
Tim, I got an answer for that one.
well, I'm gonna go ahead and finish this.
Well, finish yours.
We have certain things like condensation, okay, from air conditioners. They're not supposed to go into the sewer. They're not supposed to. It's hard to treat that water that has those contaminants in it. And I'm sure Little Rock wastewater is not gonna let them put something in to their system that's gonna be a problem to clean. I mean, like I said, they just are not gonna allow them to put anything in there that they cannot clean.
So if it's not going to the reclamation center, then where would it go?
Where would it go?
It would be fixed in house by Google. Is that not correct?
Wait a minute.
If Google's not allowed to put bad stuff in the sewer line, then Google's gonna have to take it out of its discharge.
And then that would
And
go-
only the cleaned up discharge, free of the contaminant, is allowed into the sewer system.
Correct. And then that would be ADEQ, Arkansas Environment and Quality Control, is gonna make them deal with that water.
And is that going to happen, or are there undisclosed contracts saying that they don't have to?
I haven't even got the plans.
The information that I have procured from a source that will remain anonymous is that this circulating water cooling of their widgets that throw off heat, you can tell I'm really trained in this stuff, is heating the water because, of course, it's water cooled. And after about 9 turns through the system, then they are ready to bring in more fresh water. And this now becomes a discharge question. It has gotten so hot, it's basically, shall we say, boiled everything out of it. So the contamination isn't apparently the issue. It's that it would have nothing to offer to the little bugs in the treatment ponds at Fush Creek Treatment Center until they inoculate it with their good bugs.
So but what about any sort of coolant and refrigerants that are part of that?
It's simply a water cooled pipe. It doesn't get any refrigerants.
But you can't.
It's separated in the plumbing.
How does it get cooled then?
The plumbing pipe goes right around the widget that's hot.
How does the water get cooled then?
These evaporate.
They have a chiller at the front of the
And
thing.
the chiller doesn't have any refrigerants?
It may do, but it doesn't touch the water pipe that's passing through it. We got a diagram that we posted through our data center emailing that I will send out fresh to everybody today. The flow chart is what I'm gonna
Last
send.
session, we had an expert from ULR.
We had a Dr. Wang in the engineering department at ULR who presented this. And to sum it up very quickly, through the front of the building comes water from CAW, runs through the chiller so it gets really cold in a closed pipe system. Then it goes through the rest of the building, winding around all the different hot casting widgets, and back again, and like I say, after 9 trips through front to back, then they decide they're going to discharge that and bring in fresh water through the chiller at the front and keep on going. But there's no cross contamination. They are separated in plumbing from what we are understood so far.
So there's nothing in the water that's going through the.
There's nothing in the water except water coming right out of CAW.
What I have always understood from how many sources is that water is polluted when it comes out.
Well, that's not what we've been able to find out about this system. Because CAW has gonna be delivering clean water in their pipes. It's gonna be closed piping through the building, and then it's gonna be throwing hot water out the back end. One of the interesting things, just very quickly here, is they call this purple water because that hot water now has a commercial prospect for small business to set up on the lot next to the building. And all of this hot water doesn't go into the sewer utilities for Fush Creek. It goes into the Kathy Wells Widget Factory, where I use the hot water in my boilers to do a product or some commercial activity. And then it goes into the sewer system like any other such building. I'm sure you handle a lot of boiler systems in the city of Little Rock. That's a familiar challenge to your office. So if they're smart and they want to get money back on their expense, that's what they'll do.
Did they explain, the UALR person that was here last time, Tammy, did they explain about the impact of 5 million gallons of water a day and how that would?
They did not, because that's a question for the water utility exec, and he explicitly assured me in writing, which I once again shared to the group, that he had ample supplies to handle the expected demand from this data center without triggering any further speed up of we need a new supply because we're running out of water issues. They have ample water, and he assured me also that this client would pay the full cost of whatever was required to deliver water to this facility. So we're not gonna get stuck with a Google data center water bill, like we got stuck with an electricity bill, but that's another debate.
Our water's a lot cheaper than it is out west. Our water
Sir.
is a lot cheaper than it is out west.
So speaking of scarcity of resources or how much is being taken up, 100 megawatts is not like a thing. That would probably make a lot of rolling blackouts through Little Rock unless they had their own form of energy generation or entities build some sort of extra infrastructure, which I don't really foresee them doing.
No, Google has done that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's probably going to be on site.
Exactly right.
Exists. So I guess in mine isn't really a question, more just a comment of like, I'm more curious. I know you haven't gotten the plans yet, so I know you can't answer the question, but it just mostly keeping in mind of how they generate an extra 100 megawatts, because that is a lot. So don't know how they're gonna do that, but.
Well, they've got a big contract with Energy. That's the
Yes.
one I'm saying that you and I get to pay for.
Yes.
On your, $13 more on your monthly bill. A part of that is because the legislature directed and the Public Service Commission obeyed, passing that on to all ratepayers residential. Not all classes, but residential. So you might want to have a chat with your state representative and your state senator about that.
Oh, don't worry, they hate me already.
We've got to pay attention and be efficient to our timing. We are now at 10:25. Rip, question.
Thanks, Kathy. So just, y'all had, a lot of you had questions. At last month's meeting, we did have this UALR professor, I believe, and he talked about the technicalities of these centers. But as you can tell, there's lots of people layered at different levels that are involved. So I appreciate Kathy and the CLRN for calling these meetings. I think you're gonna do a monthly 30-minute session every month going forward.
Correct. 10:30 every month, a coalition will be data center updates
Right.
for
At
the
this
foreseeable future.
At this building. But what I'm thinking is, I'm just wondering, I don't know if Director Wagner put you on the spot, or for you, perhaps you, sir, know, is there any other educational opportunities that are popping up around these centers? Obviously, there's a lot of interest. You can go online and find it. But besides Kathy, she's so busy, and this is one venue. Is there anything else that we're thinking about to help educate us? Even if it's these data center folks, I mean, that might be biased, right? But there should be more. There should be more of this.
The answer to that just came in, I believe I emailed everyone yesterday, and I'll send it fresh. We now are in a public notice period ending May 6th to the Army Corps of Engineers, because Google wants to make use of some wetlands that are in here, mitigated their classic pattern. The details of the proposed center are listed in this notice of taking comment. It says you need to be specific, you need to sign your name, you need to get it in timely, and if enough people raise enough questions and call for a public hearing, that is an opportunity for us to get an Army Engineers sponsored public hearing on this data center and raise all those questions where that's placed in. And this tells you where to send your comments.
Well, it's funny, I actually forwarded that to you this morning. I know you got it before me, but I hadn't read through it, so thank you, Kathy. Thank you.
So that's the answer to that one, is we've got another place by May 6th to try and get for another authority. I think you had a question, someone?
Yes, and maybe this would be a question for the Corps of Engineers people, but in, the environmental, actually in that permit, the environmental review sounds like they just sort of guessed. They said, oh, well, there might be these species present in this area, but we think it's okay. So we can, fill this bayou and all of that. They didn't mention any plants, and I'm just wondering, is there a physical survey done at any point in the process of the land to see like what species are actually present before the permit is approved?
I have no information on that. My guess is from the tone that I read, they're going by some recorded, already in hand federal listing of this, that, and the other thing. But the question, you're right, is how current is it? And who's the source? Which is a good question to ask.
Yeah, it's not listed.
Because we don't get told that.
Since the legislature stripped that, what was it, a 3-mile protection zone around the city where we could give permission or not for things, if Google gets mad enough, they just move outside the city limit now, right? Because the legislature did that to us.
They could. I mean, it's, it's kind of a fine line, because I really don't care one way or the other. My job is whatever comes in, City of Little Rock, we look at it for safety, structural, and for the safety of the citizens of Little Rock. And our codes cover every part of that building, whether it's an office building, or whether they have transformers with electricity, whether it's mechanical to cool it. That's what we do. Okay, I can't tell you what the state does. And the only thing I know is what everybody else here knows, is what I heard in this. Okay? I know that they said something about wanting rights to it. That's gonna make Google look like a baby in there. So, and that's
Actually,
the
they
state.
seem to be parallel from things that have come to my way. Everything's talking about building 1 And in both cases, they're talking about 5 buildings total and full build out over the years. So, whatever you do, step 1, plan, repeat 5 more times.
But we have, like I said, we have a plan review, it goes through. I really don't know what kind of plan review the state has. I have no idea. I mean, I know when it comes through our office that we're gonna look at every part of that building.
And
What
you're
they
just,
have.
you're just city.
Ours is the city of Royal, yes, ma'am.
What about our orderly closure? You know, at the time that they cease the operation, and they're going to go away, is there some back-end inspection that they're not leaving behind contaminated soil or water or sewage somewhere or spills from the diesels, engines, backup generators?
That will go back to ADEQ.
Okay.
Okay. Because they're the ones that does the soil and air.
Would ADQ, do you need to contact if we're even able to, is there a thing, about the heat island effect that every data center's been showing at 16.4 degrees?
I'm sorry, say that louder.
Is the ADEQ who we would contact about our questions around the heat island effect where everything around it is raised 16.4 degrees across all data centers?
Where's the heat coming from?
The data center.
The effects of the data center creating heat around the site.
That's an additional piece, okay.
Yeah, because it's producing so much electricity, like he was saying, 100 megawatts.
That's the chiller.
It's gonna make it extremely hot.
That's the chiller.
Right.
Well,
the
it's
radiation-
dumping water vapor
The
into
heat
the
of
air.
it is so incredibly hot that when you cool it with water, it's still hot, you know? It's not like it just is a net zero.
It's gotta be cool enough for the widgets not to fry.
Right, well, boiling water is gonna, 212 degrees around, 70, 80
I can-
degrees.
I can
She's saying it's
submit it.
gonna raise it.
I can submit that report to that site that you were talking about, that you can actually see where they've done the studies on it. It's an average of 16.4 degrees around every data center. I was just wondering if it's the ADQ that I would need to discuss that with.
Probably would be,
Yeah.
that would be, because they do the environment. But, in a lot of the data centers is what, this is just me. I mean, this is, don't have anything to do with kind of the codes.
Right.
Okay, you hear stuff. I think most of the bad publicity that the data centers get is because they're in a small town. And they don't have people that's certified to look at plans. They don't know what they're looking at. They don't have the room in the industrial site to set one. And they're setting them, a small town, there's 12,000 people. Where's their industrial zone? It could be right next to a housing complex.
Now, is ours next to any residential complex? And the port, what's the nearest house?
I don't know anything around the board
For
for
miles.
miles. I mean, I don't.
Asked and answered, okay.
So,
Well,
Who owns the property right now where the data center is going to be built?
I do not know.
as I understand it, they concluded sales with the port because it was approved, with a non-disclosure agreement through the city board of directors months ago.
So we don't know.
As far as I know, the city approved the sale of dirt in the port to Google. So Google owns it.
So they already own it.
Back in the back.
Oh, I was just saying my house is there.
Gentleman in the back.
Well, I'm glad you're confident about your department and saying, this really, people are worried.
Louder, please.
I said, I'm glad that he's confident, but a lot of people are still upset at the current, way a lot of these developments have been, the consequences of these developments, like, for example, the closure of the Amazon facility in the same area, right? And you're saying, we're a bigger department, it's an industrial area, but 4,000 people are out of job during the holidays, and there's other projects that, it kind of feels like a lot of the residents here are just, you know, they want transparency and they want to see if these projects will, not only actually stay, but, you know, it sometimes feels like it's built as fast as you can and then worry about it later. So this, you know, this is a bigger project, and if Amazon had, you know, probably thousands of people looking into the site and making sure everything was up to code, and you guys looked at it and everything, but even then, we still have 4,000 people out of the job. How do you tell us with confidence that we're gonna do the same here with a bigger project that's even more environmentally straining and impactful project?
If I may refine that question, are your inspection reports public? So when you're looking at this, there's a way you can see that you said, okay, this is good, or, well, it's good after you do A, B, C.
We have a plan review, and once the permit comes in, I guess everything can be FOI, but I'm gonna go back to the Amazon. Amazon is a big company, and they have engineers, okay? An engineer, they design stuff. And they do calculations and they say, okay, there's this much wind gonna hit against the building, and so we have to make it for this wind. Or they have a seismic, which is earthquakes. And they design the whole building to do exactly, you know, what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to stay up if they have an earthquake or high wind. So there was a mistake. Amazon's engineers made a mistake. I went through the facility after Amazon shut down. You can't see anything. There's no damage to the facility. They have structural plates as big as that door on beams that's supposed to work with the wind. It was a seismic miscalculation from the engineer. And that's what that was. It wasn't our department, it was an engineer made a mistake when he designed the building structure. So they're working right now on a plan to fix that structure. So, and they gotta do some, there was several, when I went out there was several solutions to the problem. And I think they have like 5 engineering firms working on it together, because Amazon has their own engineer.
So you're engineering, your department's engineering this particular business.
Do you check for earthquake resistance in your permitting?
It's in our code book, but it's not, we don't design the building. What it says is it's gotta stand up for an earthquake load. Okay, if we ask, when they do plans, I'm not an engineer, my plan reviewers are not engineers. Okay. When you have a group, an engineering firm says, hey, I'm gonna build this building and this beam is gonna take so much weight, and they have the calculations that we fill up a notebook that says this will work, then that's what we go on.
You just have to trust them. that
You
they-
have to on certain things, but now because we have wind loads, snow loads, earthquake loads, and we count on the engineers for a lot of that. Now, when it comes to whether we need firewalls up or a sprinkler system or for loss of life, that's what we do. But like Amazon, there was like a 1% chance, 1% chance that in 50 years, they would have a problem with that building. Amazon didn't want to take a chance on a 98% chance that nothing would happen. So they closed the building until they get it closer to less than 1% in 50 years.
Thank you so much for coming today. We know time is tight and we've gone over because of problems with tech, but I think we've come to the close of your time, and you need to go about the rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
A brief update on the TAF. They've confirmed it is a building problem. I'm very grateful for the offline recording. Thank you. We will post that later on YouTube, and Kathy will get the information out.
Have we communicated this with any of the building officials? Okay.
Problem property, never been today. Okay, what are our
future solutions beyond the mobile grocery directory where our foods are?
Thank you, Kathy, and I do want to say one thing in response to Rip. The Sustainability Commission, this is obviously a big topic of the Sustainability Commission, and we've created an ad hoc committee on data centers. We've met twice. So if folks are interested, those meetings are always open to the public. The Sustainability Commission meetings are. And Kathy, I know that we had a very hot topic for the first part of the meeting, and you've got a really hot topic that's current for the last part of the meeting. So
I'm sorry you were squeezed. I apologize.
No, that's okay. So I hope that everybody is interested. Food insecurity has been around for a long time, and we've been talking about it a long time. And because I see a lot of new faces, I'm going to give you just a little bit of background and then get to the mobile market and then tell you what the Food Commission is doing about the problem in general. For about 20 years, I've been working on the issue of food deserts, and it is not an easy issue to tackle. When I was in the legislature, we had a variety of bills that were kind of old school that would have granted money to grocers if they would go into an area where there was not a grocery store and open a grocery store. That was pretty much the typical bill in state after state after state, and it was not a successful model. A bill like that never passed in Arkansas, and I worked with a lot of grocers and came to understand a lot more about the grocery industry over the years, that it is very difficult to make a profit on a grocery store, and once they close, it's very difficult to get one back. And in my opinion, we had a lot of grocery stores in small markets, and then a large chain went in with a new model, and they ran a lot of those grocers out of business. And then that large chain decided that their model wasn't working for them. And so those grocery stores that replaced the mom and pop, so to speak, grocery stores also closed down, which exacerbated the problem in Arkansas, leaving us with more food deserts, not just in Little Rock, but in all counties in Arkansas. My state rep, Tippy McCollum, and I went to visit Governor Hutchinson during his last year in office. We asked him for a variety of things, including money to put a food desert task force together. He agreed. He created this task force, which I had the privilege or responsibility or bad luck to co-chair. And we learned a lot during that time period, because the fact that we already knew that those old models of legislation were not working, that we're going to have to look at things besides brick and mortar to take groceries to people in areas where there's not a grocery store. We're going to have to open our minds and consider all sorts of alternatives. And so we had a very long report, which I talked about once here, maybe a year and a half or so ago. The mayor created a city task force, which I also had the privilege of chairing. And then we recommended at the end of that period that one of the things we wanted to do, we had seen it in the state task force as we traveled around to look at different models in other states, was to create a mobile market. And we did an MOU UA Little Rock, we put it out online, and UA Little Rock was awarded the contract. And with the money that the city provided, they purchased a semi and a large truck. It requires a commercial driver's license. If you have not seen it, I encourage you to look at the UA Little Rock website, because you can see where the market's gonna be on a daily basis, and you can go shop, and ask questions and look at the market. They are not here today because right now they're super busy. It's kind of like opening a restaurant. There's a lot of things that happen no matter how prepared you are. And so we're going to get them to come back at a different time. But this is not the end-all be-all. Another thing that we did as a result of this food desert task force in the city was to create a food commission. And there are 6 or 7 of us on the food commission. I have the privilege of serving on it. And one of the things that we have done specific to Kathy's request is what else are you going to do besides have a mobile market? And we have had several interested parties come to us and make presentations about opening